Alright. Michael? Okay, so far, for one sec, so far what we've been dealing with, Jordan, can I get you to turn around, is expressions. Remember we talked about variable expressions? Was a math thingy with variables in it. Now we are going to take this to the next level and start working with equations instead. How is an equation different from an expression? Does anybody know? What does an equation have that an expression does not? I'm not sure what you're doing. Are you turning into a zombie? Oh, you're raising your hand. Oh, okay, what's up?
I'm pretty sure an expression doesn't have an answer and an equation does.
Okay, that's kind of one way to think about it. An expression, there's only so much you can do, and a lot of times you don't get down to a single answer, but when you are solving an equation, then you get a single answer, yeah.
Is it a variable?
They both have variables, because you have variable expressions, and then we also have equations. This right here is an equation. This right here is not. What does the equation have that the expression does not? An equal sign. Very good. So an equation is a expression with an equal sign. Okay? Yeah. Nope.
I'll ask you.
Yeah, ask me later. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on figuring out how to try and solve these. And the first thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to give you the old guess and check way to go. So if you're starting with x minus 7 equals 13, and I ask you, does x equal 12 or does x equal 20? And now, like Michael said, these have answers to them. So we're trying to find the particular answer. How do I go about figuring out which one of these is the answer? I'm looking to see if anybody wants to try and answer this all. Is there anyone out here that knows the answer? No? No one? Carla?
Add 13 and 7 together.
Okay, so why did you say to add 13 and 7 together when it says minus 7? You're right, but why?
Because it is.
Okay, good, because you're doing the inverse operation. So instead of doing negative 7, you're going to do plus 7. But since it's an equal sign, I have to make sure that both things on both sides are equal. So if I add 7 to the left side of the equal sign, then I have to
Add 7
to the right-hand side as well. Okay? So when I do that, what happens to the minus 7 and the plus 7? Yeah.
Cancel.
Are you a ventriloquist? Throw your voice. Yes, Kara, they cancel out. Thank you for raising your hand and
I'm the
answering
dummy.
question. Okay, so the minus 7 and the plus 7 cancel, which just leaves you with an x. And then 13 plus 7 is 20. Okay? And so the correct answer for this is that x equals 20. What's the other way, since we were trying to choose between just two answers, that you could have figured out which one was the right one without doing this fancy inverse operation stuff, Blaine?
You could go left, right, and do dumb answer, 12 minus 7.
Okay, good.
20 minus
So,
7. But 12 is smaller than 13, so it can't be.
okay, right. If you're going to take something away from 12, you're not going to get a bigger answer. Okay, you're right. But what he's talking about is that you could do a guess and check. And you could just put 12 in there. 12 minus 7 is what? 12 minus 7 is 5. And 5 does not equal 13, so that doesn't work. And then plug in 20. 20 minus 7 is 13. And so that would be another way to find the answer that you're looking
Did
for.
you just add 7 and 13?
Yeah, if they're giving you something to choose from. All right, but probably the easiest way is, like you said, to do the inverse operation.
Or just add what?
What class are you doing?
All right, so let's try another one here. And let's keep that idea of inverse operations going, okay? So what we're trying to do with these is we're trying to get the letter by itself, okay? So one way that you can think about it is you can think of the numbers and the letters as rival gangs, Okay? And the numbers need to get onto one side of the railroad tracks. Get it? Don't those look kind of like the railroad tracks? Okay? And the letters need to go onto the other side. And so right here you have numbers and letters mixed together. So we need to get rid of one of them. Brianna, which one do you want to do? No, I want you to tell me how to do it. Without just looking at it, I know you can just say, I know what I have to add to 6 to get 28. How would you figure that out? If it, okay, good. So I want to get the t by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 6. Because remember, if this does not have a sign in front of it, is this a positive 6 or a negative 6? It's a positive, and the opposite of positive is negative. But if I go negative 6 there, I have to go negative 6 on the other side too. So these 6's cancel out and leaves me with what?
0.
With t
Equals
on the
22.
left equals 22. Okay, good. So you guys are obviously pretty good at these.
There's the floods and the trips, yo.
Somebody said, can we do it the other way? What's the other way?
I don't know.
No.
The other way is adding.
Okay, so how about this one? M minus 8 equals negative 14. Austin? Okay, good. I'm going to add 8 to both sides because I want to get rid of that 8 from the left-hand side. This time, however, the answer is not 22 because what is true about the 14?
It's negative.
It's a negative 14. What's true about the 8?
It's
It's
Positive. So if I have two numbers and one is positive and one is negative, what do I do?
Subtract.
I subtract them. What's
Negative
14?
6.
Okay, good. 14 take away 8 is 6. And since the 14 is bigger, it's negative
So you
6.
just say 8 plus 6.
Okay? Question? It's a negative 14. There's a little negative sign up there. Okay? So negative 14 plus 8 is negative 6. Because the negative is bigger than the positive, so it wins out, so the answer is going to be negative. Okay?
All right.
All right? Okay, let's try one more. Okay, the variable or the letter doesn't always have to be on the left. Sometimes it's on the right. And so my question to you is, on this problem here, do I start by subtracting 15 or do I start by adding 14? Why did you choose to add 14?
I don't know.
Because it has an add.
But why did you? When you want to do with parentheses first, okay, yeah, that's helpful. Okay, so it has parentheses, so that kind of tells us start there. But the main thing is you want to go to where the letter is, and you're trying to get the variable all by itself. Okay, so if I subtracted 15 from both sides, then that would just bring more numbers over to here to the same side as the letter is. And we don't want that. We want to do the opposite thing. We want to get the numbers away from the letters. Okay? So the opposite of negative 14 is positive 14. If I do that on the right, I also have to do it on the left. What is 15 plus 14? 29. What happens with the negative 14 and the positive 14? They cancel out, which is why we chose the positive 14 in the first place. So 29 equals W. So what does W equal?
29.
29. If 29 equals W, then you can just switch that around and say that W equals 29. What's
Just
U?
add them together.
Okay. What's that?
Can you just add 15?
Yeah, but see, you have to be careful with that because this one back here, you said, oh, just add the 8 and the 14 and get 22, and that's not right.
But they were negatives.
Right, so you have to
the 8
think.
from the 14.
Right, so you have to think a little bit about the sign. So I don't necessarily want to say just add them together all the time. Okay. All right, let's do a word problem. Okay. If you want to see this word problem, it is on page 40 in your book. Because there's a pretty picture that goes with it.
I like
And in the
pretty
picture, there are
pictures.
2 dogs in a tug of war.
Aw.
It says,
That's cute.
Net force is the sum of all forces acting on an object. Expressed in newtons, so that means its units are newtons. It tells you in which direction and how quickly the objects will move. If two dogs are playing tug of war and the dog on the right pulls with a force of 12 newtons, so we're going to say this dog over here is pulling with a force of 12 newtons. Why did I use a positive for that?
Because that's positive.
Why is it positive? Yes.
Because he's not taking away.
No, why is it positive? Which direction is my arrow pointing?
He's going forward.
He's going to the
Right.
right. And on the number line, the positive numbers are on the right.
Right.
So if he's pulling it to the right, I'm going to say he's pulling it in the positive direction.
Yeah.
Okay? So then our question is, what force is the dog on the left exerting on the rope? So we don't know what this is. So it's a question mark number of newtons. If the net force on the rope is 2 newtons, so altogether the rope is moving, it has a force of positive 2 newtons on it. Can anybody figure that out just by looking at it? They're not big newtons, they're Isaac Newtons, like the famous scientist. Can somebody figure that out just by looking at it? Ben? Right, how did you get that?
12 minus.
Okay, 12 minus 2, and that's what's left over right here. Okay, the equation that they want you to be able to write is that 12 plus however many newtons this dog is pulling with has to equal the overall thing of 2. Okay? And so I'm trying to get that and all by itself. Is the 12 a positive 12 or a negative 12? Positive, because it has no sign in front of it. If it doesn't have a sign in front of it, that means it's positive. How do I get rid of a positive 12?
Minus.
Okay, I can add a negative onto that. So I'm going to go negative 12 here, and I'm going to go negative 12 there. So these 12s cancel, which leaves me with just n. How do I figure out what 2 take away 12 is? Blaine already said it, I guess. He said add a negative. So this is really like 2 plus a negative 12.
10.
So are the signs the same or different?
Different.
Different, so I subtract.
10.
What's 12 take away 2?
10.
Is it a positive 10 or negative 10?
Negative.
Why?
Because the 12 is bigger than 2.
The 12 is bigger, so this is going to be negative. Okay? All right. Okay, so somebody raise their hand and tell me the difference between an expression and an equation. Kara? Okay, so an equation has an equal sign, and an expression does not. Okay? So that's the difference between an equation and an expression. How would I solve, don't tell me what the answer is, but tell me the steps that I would use to solve y minus 5 equals 16. I'm going to call on Jillian. How would I solve y minus 5 equals 16? Add what? 5 and 16. Okay, so to get rid of this negative 5, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So those cancel, and y would equal 21. Okay? All right, you guys good with that? Yeah. Easy stuff?
Woo!
Assignment.
Yeah, assignment.
No, no assignment. No. It's just no home.
Why are you recording this, Rob?